The character that I would like to discuss today is a character that is copyrighted. But of course this video falls under... Okay, so I messed up this part. It falls under fair use. It falls under fair use. Alright? Or whatever you want to say it is, I don't really care. I want to say it's informative, transformative, whatever. Anyway, to the video. The character that I want to discuss today, I've never understood the hate for. He's genuine, he's funny, he's kind, but he's just lonely. Not a chosen loneliness, not the I'm vibing alone with a bottle of wine and watching Succession kind of loneliness, but a kind forced on him by the ones he loves. Klaus Heisler lives in the margins of his family. He wants in, and it's heartbreaking how hard he tries. And yes, of course, he has friends. He has the boys, or rather, Klaus's boys, because I needed a reason to say Klaus's boys out loud. Respect the branding. Klaus has been with the Smiths since the 1986 Olympics, 20 years before the pilot episode even aired. Think about that. That's 2 decades before Haley got her belly button pierced and Roger developed a single kink. He's been there longer than anyone, and yet he's treated like less than a pet, less than a houseplant, less than Rogu. Meanwhile, Roger, whom I love, I am, and currently married to, as my wife is a self-proclaimed Roger. Where was I going with this? Anyway, he didn't move in until 2001, and still the family fawns over him like a glitter-covered sex goblin. The difference? Is there one? Because, really think about it. They're essentially the same character. They provide nothing financially for the family. They don't have jobs. They really just nuisances, problem causers. And yet, I think spending time thinking about it, I think the reason that the family loves Roger so much and hates Klaus is that Roger provides chaos. He provides experiences and he provides conflicts. Klaus simply exists, and he provides very little chaos. He's fairly just even-tempered. He doesn't really do much for the family, and he is really peaceful, which is an issue in the Smith house. He simply exists, and apparently that's a sin. Let's zoom out. So this dude was a world-class Olympic skier, a gold medalist in the making, whose consciousness was ripped from his body by the CIA and stuffed into a fish against his will, so America could cheat its way to victory. And now he's stuck. He's just there. Of course, he does contribute very little. He cost the family probably tens of thousands of dollars over the years, especially with inflation. He won't shut up. He's like a roommate who promises to get a job, never does, and keeps bringing up, well, technically, I pay utilities with emotional labor. I say this lovingly, as I've been that roommate multiple times. So why not get rid of Klaus? Yeah, it would be really easy to. He's a fish. You could shoot him. You could put him in a lake. You could, leave him outside for the birds and fishes. Wait, I think we've seen this one before. Okay. Klaus might not be fun, but he tries. And sometimes I feel like that's enough. He does try his best to be a member of the family, to provide something, to contribute something. He can't realistically get a job. He's a fish. Yeah. I'm sorry for that awkward transition, but this next part I really didn't know how to transition to. So let me tell you about this fan theory that I will defend with my entire fish-loving heart. I will die on this hill over and over again. Klaus and Francine had an affair. Not only did they have an affair, I believe it's ongoing, off and on. Secret glances, awkward tension, passive-aggressive kindness, it's all there. Exhibit A. In literally the first episode, Klaus tells Francine to stand over him so he can see up her dress. And she laughs. Not, ew, gross, or no, Klaus, stop. Just a laugh, a giggle. And look, I know as the show went on, Klaus became more of a core family member, and that tension faded. The theory doesn't hold up logically necessarily, but it holds up in my heart. And that's what matters. Now, I really do. I have a second theory to this, that maybe Stan knows about the affair and is super embarrassed to say anything about it, so he just doesn't. He's a God-fearing, red-blooded American who has a fish boinking his wife. That's kind of embarrassing. Now, I think the other theory, and I've really thought about this one a lot, is that Stan allowed Francine and Klaus to sleep together. And you're thinking, well, there's two whole episodes dedicated to how Stan is really vanilla. He would never do anything like that. I disagree. There's an episode where Stan wants to create a restaurant with like candy spaghetti and brownie pizza or whatever, right? And throughout the episode, he's talking about how he was, there's some content warning here. If you want to skip to this part of the video, it's literally going to be like 2 minutes from now. But if you want to skip to it and skip over this part, I'm talking about some essay and kink. Are they gone? All right. Anyway, so Stan talks about how he was molested by a priest a couple times, and then the show flips the joke on the head to where it was actually Stan who molested the priest. It was kind of funny, but I fail to see how somebody who would be willing to do that as a teenager wouldn't be able to do something similar down the line. Maybe he was a cuck for Klaus and Francine. Maybe he had a threesome with the three of them. I don't know what they did. It doesn't matter necessarily what they did. I just know that it happened in my head canon, and that's what's important. Anyway, I guess before I give you my final thoughts, I want to talk about why I think Klaus ended up being the family punching bag before I get into my actual final thoughts here. So, Klaus ended up being the one to get bagged on a lot because he was the only one that was left. If you look at the main cast of characters in the Smith house, you have, well, let's start with Jeff, right? You have Jeff, who is this hippie stoner guy, right? And that's kind of his whole thing. And it's pretty easy to make like, oh, you're a dumb hippie, you don't know how to read type of jokes. But like, and of course, Jeff did get flanderized as time went on, but that's less than relevant right now. Sorry. I don't think it would have been, I think it would have been too much of a cheap shot to have the loser burnout be the one to get bagged on all the time, which brings me to Haley. Speaking of loser burnouts, she started out as kind of like less than, but as time went on, Stan learned to respect her and love his daughter, and of course love Jeff, because Jeff and Haley, they come together. Now, the next character that it could have been would have been Steve, but I don't see Stan, again, God-fearing, red-blooded American, being mean to his son. That just doesn't make sense to me. Now, of course, you can say, well, there's like accounts of abuse in Christian households all over history, and it's like, well, yeah, obviously, but I don't think that Seth MacFarlane was going to put that in the subtext or overtly do it. The next character that it could have been done to would have been Francine, but I don't see that being received very well by the audience if Stan would have grabbed Francine's head and shoved it in his ass like Peter Griffin does to Meg. So naturally that leaves Stan, but he's the leading man, so you can't really do anything like that to him, so that left Klaus. And I think that's unfortunate. Klaus has a lot of value, a lot of insights, and he's just fun to, like, he tells some fun stories, and he has some really fun brags. I think he's a really interesting character who hasn't been given a whole lot of chances to shine, and when he does shine, it's like a burning light in it's like a house fire. That's what I meant to say. It's been a long day. I've tried to record for like the last 3 hours, and I've had nothing but issues. So please forgive me. I just lost my place in my script. I'm gonna cry. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me find my place in my script. Until then, I will sing you a song. No, I won't. I'm not gonna sing you a song. That's not something I would do. My final thoughts. Klaus isn't a plot device like Roger. He isn't the comic foil like Stan. He's not the straight man. He's not even a man anymore. He's just a fish. A sad, horny, desperate fish who wants to matter. And for that, I will always defend him. Because you cannot truly tell me that you have not been on the outskirts of a group. You have not been on the outside looking in, putting your hand on the glass pane, wanting to be a part of something that you know you never will be a part of. Knowing that no matter what you do, no matter what you try, nothing you do or say matters. You don't matter. Of course, that's not true. Of course, you matter. And if you too are like Klaus, I will always be by your side to defend you. Toad made this? No way.